Hey everybody, who's ready for a big data dump? It's Friday Fire. Thank you, Hudson and Doug, for coming and not being in the pub, because I see you're in England. Thank you so much, and everybody for coming. TND Tesla, Sean Donnelly, K8, and everybody else. Let's get into the story. This story today is called Friday Fire. I hope my audio is working. Shout at me if it's not. But there's a whole bunch to cover, and it's not even the weekend yet, and Bitcoin is pumping like mad. WAGMI, we're now $91,450, back above 90K. The range today is kind of insane. We were at 87,100, back up to 91.5. Wow. $4,500 swing. But we've got a lot more stuff to show you. A whole bunch of charts, some new price targets from some experts. We'll talk about some of the miners. Some people are concerned that miners were dumping stuff. And I was so desperate to find OTC desk info, I decided to build a modeling calculator myself. So we got that too. We'll talk about some hot swap stuff, a ton about treasuries. I've been saying this for a long time now, that the treasury tsunami is coming. And that is the new retail this cycle. It's not retail investors. It's institutions, maybe governments, buying Bitcoin. We'll do some options analytics to see where we're going to be. March, spring timeframe. It's hard to believe we're in winter. We're already talking about spring. And whale stacking, some on-chain stuff. And let's go Friday Fire. And we'll also talk about Tesla, some great Tesla news, a little bit of macro, and a little bit of corruption news too. Thank you all for coming, and not financial advice. And shout out to the team behind me and everybody at Patreon too. This is from Humi. Thanks for the perp updates and Patreon. Making money in a long and getting paid in Sol. Feels like a double win. It's nuts. And we got into perp again last night, and now Solana's at 219. So that's printing nicely too. Yeah. Anyhow, thank you all. And the perp stuff is nuts. First of all, though, I want to talk about Bitcoin. This is kind of sick, as the kids would say. The candle, if you measure the monthly candle so far in the month of November 2024, from bottom to top, it is now $27,300 long. All right? A God candle is typically a $10,000 candle, and that typically happens in a day. But this is bonkers, $27,000. But what's even more crazy about this, we're only halfway through the month. The question is what'll happen for the last 2 weeks. That's what we have to see. So, well, there's also a lot of talk. The story today is a little bit about treasuries, but this came out from Crypto Slate. And they had an article that Trump could put billions into U.S. Bitcoin reserve without any Congress approval, which he could get anyway. So you have a limit. Apparently, a president can do up to 10 billion without any Congress approval. And everywhere I look, there's talk of U.S. government treasuries. I still think it has less than a 10% chance of happening, but that's not the point. The point is it triggers game theory, and that's what we love about this stuff. And shout out to Cynthia Loomis. She believes she should do a hot swap. And that is, she wants to sell the Fed's gold at Mount Gox. Oh my God, I can't remember where they keep the gold in the U.S. Anyway, Fort Knox, Mount Gox, Fort Knox. See, I'm losing it. Anyway, this is huge from Bitcoin Archive. Hello, Archie. Senator Lewis, and she is great, and I hope she gets a really good position in the next administration. But he's saying they should sell gold to buy Bitcoin. This is the way. Wouldn't that be insane? Wow. And a little bit of macro from Bitcoin Pro magazine. And if you look here at this chart, it looks at the Bitcoin price in black. You have the long-term holder supply in that kind of bluey, tealy color. And yellow at the bottom is short-term holder supply. Now, the big thing you can take away from this, historically, when Bitcoin breaks up and breaks a new all-time high, what happens? Yeah, the blue stuff tanks. It tanks. The long-term holders sell their bags for lifestyle chips. You know what's happened this time around? Nothing. The shift is minor. Long-term holders are unfazed by the new all-time highs, the $27,000 candles in a month, opting to hold onto the Bitcoin instead of selling. And this reluctance to sell suggests that holders are confident in a lot more upside. And that's what the math tells us too. Madness. Now, a little bit of potential sell pressure. Now to get to the bottom of this too before you get to the OTC desk. But you can see here, Bitcoin miners send over 45,000 Bitcoin to exchanges. And this transfer is about $4 billion, and much of it at around the $90,000 price. But I checked in on some of our favorite publicly traded miners, and they're still hodling. So not sure exactly where this is coming from. But after a little bit of digging, Bhutan apparently did sell $100 million worth. But they still have a bag worth $1.1 billion. So they're selling a little bit, doing a little bit of DCA. Also, they got some bills to pay. It is a government after all. But now they still hold 12,206. No. 12,206 Bitcoin, worth about 1.11 billion. And they are now the 5th largest government Bitcoin holder on the planet. Again, one word you have to remember from 2024, treasuries. It's going to be rampant in 2025. We'll get more into that too in a second. Now, Bitcoin OTC desk balances. This is a point of concern. I've been talking a lot about this lately because everybody asks, I get this 100 times a day. It's like, how come BlackRock is buying so much and the price is not going up? Well, it is going up. And I calculated recently about 24% of the Bitcoin price action is directly correlated to ETF flows. Yesterday was a dump day. Day 6, post-election, and yes, some of the spot ETF holders took profit. They tend to be the hedge funds with the carry trade, but this is what I wanted to get into, so I calculated myself. And now I can do this regularly coming forward, if you're all interested, because this is so important. There will come a day, ladies and gentlemen, when this OTC desk, that's where the BlackRocks and the Michael Saylors from MicroStrategy get their coinage. They have now 150,467, but I promise you, there'll come a day where when this cupboard is bare and there's nothing in it. The biggest holder is Coinbase with about 100,100 Bitcoin as of today. Genesis Trading have about 13,000 or 15,000. Can't really read those numbers. Anyway, pause it yourself. Check them out. One of the most important things, though, is back in June of 2024, they had over 400,000. That's been depleted. And I said, I estimated, 2/3 of that's probably gone. I was kind of close, but now there's only 150,000 left. And with the rate at which these ETFs are buying, that should be gone in 2 months. If the rate continues, maybe less. We'll see. And that also depends on what countries like Bhutan are doing with their bags too. Now, a little bit of price prediction news. Cathie Wood was on CNBC today. And she, this is from Watch Your Guru, just an ARK Invest CEO predicts Bitcoin will reach $1.5 million by 2030. That's kind of aggressive. Her base case is $650. So you could be buying this puppy now for circa $90,000. And in 5 years, it'll be at least $650. There's not many assets that are going to generate that type of return. And I'm always trying to figure out, okay, what's the fastest horse here? But putting the 650 base case aside, the 1.5 million is intriguing because that all of a sudden changes my key calculus. Because I said on the 4th of July, 2024, I called it pair trade of the decade. I said, ding, based on my price prediction models, and this is the price of Bitcoin basically on the 4th of July, 2024, 66.7, and Tesla was 177. And I said Tesla's going to 3x outperform Bitcoin at these current prices. The problem we have, though, everything is a moving target. And then I asked myself, okay, if Cathie's right and it's going to 1.5 million, is Tesla still the fastest horse? Who wants the answer to that? Well, I'll give it to you anyway. Here it is. This is again, if Cathie is right, and she says 2030, 1.5 million, my price predictions are for 2032, because I add a couple of years for a little bit of sandbagging. But just pretend 2030 and 2032 are the same. From the prices today, if Cathie Wood's right with a $1.5 million Bitcoin, the current price is 90,000, that's a 16.67x over the next 5 years or so. And Tesla would be a 15.25x. So if she is right, And my price predictions, I took the average, by the way, not the bull case. I took the average, which is less than my model expected case of 5,000 by 2032. That means Bitcoin has a slight edge. But again, that's a stretch. We'll see. Either way, why not both is kind of my approach. Now, more crazy news. VanEck, now they see what I've been seeing for a while. They predict in 2025 an institutional tsunami, which will push the price of Bitcoin to $180,000 within a year, i.e. less than 12 months, i.e. before or by the end of October 2025. Hopefully the bull run's still going then, and we can continue to party and have fun. But VanEck, again, says an institutional tsunami is coming, and we're going to 180K. This is from Matthew Siegel. And he knows because he's talking to the customers. And he believes it will all be driven by institutional interest and very supportive government policies. We'll spend a bit of time on supportive government as well in a minute. But this was on an interview, I think, on CNBS's Squawk Box as well. And again, more than double the price in less than 12 months. That is exciting. But let's talk about these treasuries. These are the new treasuries just in the last week or so. Could be wrong, could be off by a couple of days. But we had Genius Group pop in there. Genius Group, let me try to remember. They're an AI company, and they are committing to spending $120 million of its reserves in Bitcoin. Then there was Solana Strategies. They own Bitcoin and Solana, and they are running validators so they can get revenue as well. Think of almost like a dividend from their activity. You have a company called Control Technologies that have Bitcoin, some crypto, SpaceX and stuff. Then you have Thumbs Up Media, have not analyzed yet. Solidion today, they are dedicating their excess cash to Bitcoin. I checked their balance sheet. It's not that much, so don't get too excited. And there's more popping up every single day. So, and shout out to our Canadian friends, because most of these come from Canada. The Canadians know their currency is toast, so the corporations there see that, and they're stacking Bitcoin. So it's crazy. Let's get into a little bit of Friday options analytics, because I always look at these, and these things have been so golden during the bear. Like all the predictions that the big options players, when you analyze these charts, they are spot on. But I'm going to refresh everybody because I haven't touched on this in quite a while, just to keep you all up to date. I always like to look out, 3, 4, 5 months. A big one for me is March 2025, kind of early spring. A couple of key metrics to note here from this chart. You got about 56,000 contracts, 5 billion in notional value, market value $500 million. Put call ratio is 0.36, which means very bullish, by the way. If it's 50-50, it's still kind of on the fence, like not bullish, not bearish. But that so few puts is extremely bullish. And then people always get confused by the max pain price at 70,000. That does not mean we're going to 70,000. What that means is that's where the option holders would lose the most money if the asset expires at this level. Basically, it's all longs. The longs would get their faces ripped off if in March 2025 we were at 70,000. So there's always questions regarding what is max pain? Does that mean that's the price it's going to? No. It represents the price that would cause maximum financial pain. Now, what else we got here? I just want to point out where all the action is, because typically price revolves close to that. And it's unbelievable that all the action is now at 120,000, which actually happens to be my bull market target. So for us to get there by March is absolutely theoretically possible. And that's exciting. Also, whales. Now, this is another cool piece on chain, which took me by surprise, because like this one before, quick reminder, the sell pressure normally kicks in at all-time highs. The long-term holders are not selling, ladies and gentlemen. But guess who's stacking? The whales. Okay, Bitcoin whales are on the rise, and it's very unusual at this stage. And there haven't been this many Bitcoin whales since 2019, again from Bitcoin Pro magazines. And in past cycles, whales exit or decrease their positions near market peaks. And we are not seeing that behavior this time. This trend is accumulation by experienced holders is a very, very strong bullish indicator, and it suggests faith in the market's long-term potential. Again, don't be bearish, ladies and gentlemen. Let's check on the Bitcoin price, see if it's doing anything fun. 91.4, not bad. Solana, 219. Perpy time. Let's go. Speaking of Solana, let's talk about blockchains in general. And I know people say, oh, he's talking about Solana again. No, I talk about the winning assets, everybody. I'm in the winning assets, so I talk about the winning assets to urge people to get into the winning assets, not other stuff. But here, Solana dominates. It is absolutely smashing ETH and all the L2 combined for DEX volume. Solana is the DeFi chain, which I've always believed that and stablecoins are the number one use case for crypto, and then other stuff later like NFTs and gaming and all that stuff. But you can see here, nearly $7 billion in DEX volume in one day. Okay, compare that to, Sui, 400 million, Ethereum, 3.4 billion, Cardano, 6 million, Injective, 14. I mean, it's as we've always said here, I won't even say it anymore. Well, I will. Winner takes most. It's just the nature of the world. And Solana fees smash all-time highs. Brand new record again, this chain. Not only is it very busy with lots and lots of daily active users who are very active on DEXs, spending a lot, trading. And that is why fees and revenues just completely smashed all-time highs. Again, burying the competition in the dust. And because of this, the black hole continues to suck everything in. And just in the last 24 hours from Solana News, $50 million has been bridged from Ethereum to Solana just in the past 24 hours because nobody wants to deal with how slow and expensive other chains are. So best, cheapest, fastest. But there's more news in the cryptoverse. This one is kind of interesting. We had a bit of a shakeup from the SCP profiler over the last 24 hours or so. And the quick update, Cardano is now the most overvalued blockchain by one of my favorite top 60 metrics, which is the fully diluted market cap divided by daily transactions. So basically what this ratio does for me is it gives me a feel for how expensive a chain is. So the question is every transaction on Cardano that's done worth $400,000? That sounds a bit expensive. Even if you take something old like Litecoin, which many say is very overvalued, that trades at about $35,000 per transaction. And if you look at the metric here, Solana's about 2,700. It's about 150 times cheaper on this metric alone. And part of this is because some people feel Charles will be part of the current administration to help with crypto, work with Elon, etc. I don't think so. I don't think so at all. Anyhow, switching gears, we talked about Bitcoin, talked about crypto, and now we talk about Tesla, and then we get into some regulation and how that's so important. But this is related to Bitcoin with Tesla. Their Bitcoin investment did pay off. The value of their bag now is well north of $1 billion. And they originally purchased the total amount for $1.5 billion, but they sold 90% of it. But now, despite selling 90% of it and taking profit earlier, they still have nearly $1 billion back from their original $1.5 billion spend after selling 90%. So basically, their gains on this buy is, I think, over 900 million, roughly, in my head. So very well done to them. And Ron Barron, legend in the space, big SpaceX and Tesla investor early on, he is kind of just still very excited, very bullish. He mentioned as well the stock price is the same as it was 3 years ago. And he believes Tesla is going to be worth over $5 trillion pretty soon. And he said Elon Musk expects $30 trillion. Okay, if we get to 30 trillion, that's a 30x. If we get to 5 trillion, that's a 5x from where we are right now. And Ron Barron believes Optimus Robot is going to be the biggest thing in history ever. And his final note was, no way, I am selling. He's going to be a Tesla hodler, as they say in the crypto world. Now, shout out to Cern Basher and AJ, friend of the channel. AJ predicts we'll see a demand surge in fourth quarter in the US for Tesla, lasting until the inauguration. And a lot of people believe after 20th of January, there will be a elimination of the tax credit, which is a $7,500 tax credit for EVs. And Cern Basher said very eloquently, in the long term, auto sales will not matter. In the short term, auto sales matter. So pay attention to AJ. But the point of that is, if you are looking for a car and you want $7,500 off, it's worth having a look. Because this is funny, because Edmunds are Tesla haters. This really got me. It's like, oh, they can't stand Tesla. And they just wrote a beautiful article that Tesla retweeted. And they said, the Model 3 Performance Tesla is a Lamborghini at a fraction of the price. I thought that was kind of profound. So if you like to drive your Lambo, but spend $45,000 on your Lambo and have it drive you as well, go for it. There you go. And V4 chargers are out. These things now will charge up to 1,000 volts. A lot of people believe waiting for 15 minutes for your car to charge is too long, but now it's getting even faster. And now they have 1.2 megawatt chargers for the semi-trucks and up to half a megawatt for cars. And again, these things charge very quick. I mean, I sometimes use superchargers if I'm doing a long trip. By the time I get a coffee and go to the bathroom, come back, it's already done. And that's it. So let's get on to Tether, which again ties into the whole crypto world, but also macro and treasuries. Tether, known as USDT, is the world's largest stablecoin. And this is an old report actually published not by Tether, but by the US Department of Treasury. And they are now listing their biggest holders of US Treasuries. And guess what made the list? Tether, as of Q2 2024, $81 billion in US Treasuries, one of the top buyers of US Treasuries in the world. And now the US Treasury Department realizes we need Tether to buy our bags. It's amazing how it all works. And this guy, if you're wondering why the markets have been a bit sucky lately, well, Hawkish Powell is to blame. The markets are droopy on a hawkish Fed because he says there's no need now, all of a sudden, to be in a hurry to lower rates. Weird. That put a bit of a lid on things. Now, they have cut 75 basis points in the last couple of weeks, and there was an expectation of another 25 basis point cut in December in a couple of weeks. But now the probability of that cut has gone from like 75, 80% down to 58.4%. So it's not looking as likely, but all we need is another job market report saying things are really bad here. We need to cut rates and prime the pump. So that's what's going to happen. Now, a little bit, because this relates to regulation for crypto, and that's why we're all here. And I'm going to spend a couple of seconds on this because it is important. Breaking news from Unusual Wales. It looks increasingly likely that Gary Gensler will step down voluntarily and choose not to finish out his commissioner term of the SEC. That's from Eleanor Terrett, and she's very, very well dialed in to what's going on. But there's weird stuff. Everything is changing all of a sudden since November 5th. Not sure why. Everything is kind of flipping around, like doing complete about face. And then this, Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office is going to reduce its pursuit of crypto cases, prosecutor says. And this could be great for our friends in New York to bring crypto businesses back to the state as well, because it's very important to be pro-innovation, especially when crypto is a huge part of the disruption. But then there's this. This is kind of interesting. Stuart Alderoty and the Nebraska Attorney General Mike Hilgers really believe the SEC overstepped its authorization, and Gary Gensler's institutional damage to the SEC.gov runs deep. His legacy of undermining American innovation and failing to uphold the law is shameful. Now 18 states are suing to hold him accountable, and I look forward to him soon being an unfortunate footnote in SEC history. Again, this is why he's stepping down. When it gets too hot in the kitchen, you get out. But a quick refresher on some history. There's hello from Caroline. She's the former CEO of FTX. Caroline Ellison is her name. This is her father, Glenn Ellison, from MIT. And guess who coincidentally worked for Glenn Ellison? This guy, Gary Gensler. You can't make this stuff up, everybody. Everything is connected, unfortunately. So why were all the actions by Gary Gensler triggering so many lawsuits from 18 different states? I don't know. But where there's smoke, there is fire. And that was Friday Fire. I didn't mean for that to pun again. Fantastic. Hello to the 6,000 people here spending a few minutes with me on a Friday. Appreciate you all. Thank you as well to Teen Tessa and Sean Donnelly and K8 and everybody. See you all tomorrow for the weekend recap. We'll break down some more numbers too. Take care and enjoy November. Before you go, actually, see if anything big happened. It's 91,450. We're up about 40, $50. And we all know going into the weekend is when crypto pumps because there's nothing else to play with. So enjoy the weekend, everybody. I expect it to be a good one. Bye-bye.